Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayamudirayat Shrinvada Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam Hridyantasto Hyavadrani Vidunodi Sugutsadam Nashtaprayeshu Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavada Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Hare Krishna. Today I'm going to read Srimad Bhagavatam, uh, Canto 4, Chapter 29, Text 84 and 85. Etan Mukunda Yashasa Bhuvanam Punanam Devarsyavarya Mukhash Nikristam Atma Saujam Yakrityamanam Adhigachadi Parameshtyam Nasmin Bhave Brahmadi Mukta Samasta Bandha. Eda, this narration, Mukunda Yashasa, with the fame of Lord Krishna, Bhuvanam, this material world, Punanam, sanctifying, Devashi of the great sages, Varya of the chief, Mukha from the mouth, Nikishtam uttered, Atma Saujam purifying the heart, anyone who Kirtyamanam beings chanted, Adhigachadi goes back, Parameshtyam to the spiritual world, never, Asmin in this Bhave material world, Brahmadi wanders, Mukta being liberated, Samasta from all, Bandha bondage. Translation and purport by Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This narration spoken by the great sage Narada is full of the transcendental fame of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, this narration, when described, certainly sanctifies this material world. It purifies the heart of the living entity and helps him attain his spiritual identity. One who relates this transcendental narration will be liberated from all material bondage and will no longer have to wander within this material world. Purport. As indicated in verse 79, Narada Muni advised King Prajina Barhi to take to devotional service rather than waste time performing ritualistic ceremonies and fruitive activities. The vivid descriptions of the subtle and gross bodies in this chapter are most scientific, and because they are given by the great sage Narada, they are authoritative. Because these narrations are full of the glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they constitute the most effective process for the purification of the mind. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirmed, Cheto Darpanamarjanam, the more we talk of Krishna, think of Krishna, and preach of Krishna, the hallucinatory, gross, and subtle body, but instead attain our spiritual identity. One who tries to understand this instructive spiritual knowledge is delivered from this ocean of science. The word Parameshtyam is very significant in this connection. Parameshtyam is also called Brahmaloka. It is the planet on which Lord Brahma lives. The inhabitants of Brahmaloka always discuss such narrations so that after the annihilation of the material world, they can be directly transferred to the spiritual world. One who is transferred to the spiritual world does not have to go up and down within this material world. Sometimes spiritual activities are called parameshya. Text 85. Adhyatma paroksham idam mayadikadam adbhutam evam striyashramaha pumsas chinno mutraja samshayaha. Adhyatma, spiritual, paroksham, described by the authority, idam, this, maya, by me, adigadam, heard, adbudam, wonderful, evam, thus, striya, with a wife, ashramaha, shelter, pumsaha, of the living entity, chinnaha, finished, Amutra, about life after death. Cha also, Samsheha, doubt. Translation. The allegory of King Puranchanas, described herein according to authority, was heard by me from my spiritual master, and it is full of spiritual knowledge. If one can understand the purpose of the allegory, he will certainly be relieved from the bodily conception and will clearly understand life after death. Although one may not understand what transmigration of the soul actually is, one can fully understand it by studying this narration. Purport. The word striya, meaning along with the wife, is significant. The male and female living together constitute the sum and substance of material existence. The attraction between male and female in this material world is very strong. In all species of life, the attraction between male and female is the basic principle of existence. The same principle of intermingling is also in human society, but is in a regulative form. Material existence means living together as male and female and being attracted by one another. However, when one fully understands spiritual life, his attraction for the opposite sex is completely vanquished. By such attraction, one becomes overly attached to this material world. It is a hard note within the heart. Pumsaha striya Mithuni bhavam tayor mitho hridaya grandim aho ado graha kshetra sudapta vider jnanasya mohoyam aham mamidi Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.8. Everyone comes to this material world attracted to sense gratification, and the hard note of sense gratification is the attraction between male and female. By this attraction, one becomes overly attached to the material world in terms of graha, kshetra, sudha, apta, vida, that is, home, land, children, friends, money, and so forth. Thus, one becomes entangled in the bodily conception of I and mine. However, if one understands the story of King Puranchana and understanding how by sexual attraction Puranchana become a female in his next life, one will also understand the process of transmigration. Special note, according to Vijay Dwaja Tita, who belongs to the Madhavacharya Sampradaya, the first two of the following verses appear after verse 45 of this chapter, and the remaining two verses appear after verse 79. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमदे भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I would like to seek blessings from all the assembled devotees and thank you for giving me an opportunity to purify myself. Please forgive me for any shortcomings or adding my own interpretation while presenting this class. So in order to prepare this class, I listened to a class from Ramagovinda Dasa Prabhuji. In this verse, Narada Muni is instructing King Prajinabarhi to render devotional service to the Lord instead of wasting the time on ritualistic activities which was prescribed in the Vedas. Narada Muni is clearly stressing on devotional service here. When we go back to previous slokas, the context involves Prajinabarhi is coming from a strong lineage. He is coming from the lineage of Maharaj Prithu. Vijitraswa is the eldest son of Maharaj Prithu. Vijitraswa have two wives, Shigandi and Nabaswadi. Shigandi have three sons and Nabaswadi have one son called Avirdhana. Avirdhana married to Avirdhami and they had six sons and one of them was Barishat. Barishat is none other than King Barishat, who also known as King Prajinaprahi. Prajinaprahi married to the daughter of the ocean called Shadadruti, and they have 10 children called Prajetas. Prajetas were instructed by their father to go to the forest and meditate. During that period, they get into interact with Lord Shiva, their spiritual master, and heard Rudra Gita from Lord Shiva. At the end of the recitation, Lord Shiva instructed them to meditate until they meet Lord Vishnu. That we can see in the next chapters. After this, they went underwater and meditated for 10,000 years until Lord Vishnu appeared before them. Meanwhile, their father, Prajinabarhi, is performing materialistic activities, which brings fruitive results, which are prescribed in the Vedas. So, two parallel activities are occurring simultaneously here. The Prajetas are meditating, and the father is performing ritualistic activities. So, while performing these activities, lots of animal sacrifices are also happening. So, Narada Muni becomes very compassionate after seeing this, and so he started to instruct Prajina Barhi. Prajina Barhi came from the great lineage of Prathu Maharaj, performing his ritualistic ceremonies and to get some temporary benefits, which is not eternally benefiting the jiva. So now Narada Muni giving instructions to Prajina Barhi and putting him in the right track, which was also followed by his ancestors. Here, Prajina Barhi guided his own children on the track, on the right track, but he himself is practicing something different, ritualistic activities. So Narada Muni is coming from disciplinic succession, and he heard about this from his own spiritual master Parashara Muni. So King Prajina Barhi is receiving the knowledge from the right source. Then Narada Muni starts with the allegorical story of Puranjana and Puranjini. Puranjana is the conditioned soul which is seated in the body of 9 gates. Navadwara Pure Dehe. Our body has 9 holes. That is the 9 gates. Puranjini is the material intelligence which makes us do the material activities. We have a conditioned soul and the super soul residing in our body. Super soul is constantly guiding and watching, but individual soul has the free will whether to surrender to the super soul or not. Super soul constantly reminds us the goal of the material life, which is devotional service, and return back to Godhead. Like the analogy of two birds seated in one tree, which we can see in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. There's a picture also there. One bird is enjoying the materialistic activities, but always in anxiety and fear, like the little birdies we see. They look around constantly in fear. What is going on? What is going to happen next moment? But if you look at a cow, it is always relaxed. Same way, the other bird is which is sitting on the tree is relaxed, the super soul. No anxiety, not disturbed by the material activities. Even if we had many birth and death, the Paramatma always lives in the body and somehow take us back to the God eventually. Narada Muni explains that pure devotional service or bhakti to the Supreme Lord is the highest and most effective spiritual path. Regardless of one's birth, social position, or material qualifications, a person who sincerely takes shelter of devotional service can attain the supreme perfection. Other processes such as karma, jnana, or austerities cannot independently award the same result. In verse 79, Narada Muni explains to King Prajnabarhi that real intelligence is to become detached from material sense enjoyment. It is temporary and miserable in nature. A wise person does not become entangled in the pursuit of bodily pleasures, but instead turns the mind towards the Supreme Lord. This will save the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya or from repeated birth and death and helps to go back to Godhead. Also, if we are serious in the path of devotional service to the Lord will gradually reveal Himself. That is even the meaning of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. 2 weeks ago, we had Java retreat. We had several classes from Rampasa Maharaj and Yamuna Jivan Prabhu. They both were giving us tips to control our mind and focus on Krishna's holy name and hear the holy name by chanting, avoiding Nama Aparadha and hearing Shuddhanam. This is the best solution for Anartha Nirviti, like removing the impurities of the mind by a thick broomstick or cleaning our heart, like the verse mentioned in Shishtashtagam, Chedo Darpanamarjanam, cleaning the mirror of the heart. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.1, Maya Saktamanapata Yogam Yujnan Madashraya Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yada Jnanasita Shrunu. In this verse, Krishna introduces the path of devotional yoga or bhakti. Mind attached to me and taking shelter of me, you can know me completely and without doubt. The highest welfare we can think for oneself is nothing but rendering service to the Supreme Lord. Highest activities Prajnabarhi can do is serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not the Karma Kanda. Bhagavan is living in all the living entities. The intelligence we have is also derived from the Lord only. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam. Brahma says in his prayers, Ishvara Parama Krishna. Bhagavan and Krishna, Ishvara are all the same. The dust which is accumulated in our heart, life after life, can be cleaned up by the association of devotees, chanting, and reading Srimad Bhagavatam. We can constantly remember Krishna by talking about Krishna, thinking about Krishna, and preaching about Krishna. Sadadam Ketan Domam. Bhakti Vinoda Thakur sings in his Nadiya Vidame Nityananda Mahajan song, Volo Krishna Bhajo Krishna, Karo Krishna Shiksha. Speak about Krishna, chant Krishna's name, and preach about Krishna. Association with pure devotees is the root cause of awakening devotional service. Through association, discussion happens and we hear the nectar. Even a brief moment of association with devotees can plant the seed of bhakti in the heart. Without such association, spiritual practices alone cannot easily lead one to loving service of the Lord. According to Ramapasa Maharaj, when we practice this daily, it becomes a part of our daily routine. In verse 85, it talks about the attraction between men and women. The lusty desires are very strong and dangerous, which can drag us. Engage the activities for a higher purpose. The men and woman relationship can be used for begetting Krishna conscious children. If we have more Krishna conscious people around us, we will have less struggle and more favorable society. The struggle we have in this world is because of the less Krishna conscious children and parents. No good lineage. The lineage is important, like in the case of King Prajnabarhi and Prajetas. Overly attached to the materialistic nature is because of the lusty desire. So, in a nutshell, the essence of both verses is devotion of the Lord is supreme than performing ritualistic activities. And the key to developing true devotion is association with devotees, which can transform one's life and lead to liberation and love of God. I would like to end here. Hare Krishna, Vanjab Kalpadarupyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam
Hare
Pavanebhyo.
Krishna.